Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am excited to talk to you guys about kickstarting your creativity, which is the topic for today. So hop into the chat, say hello. Really, this is time that I get to connect with you. How are you liking the channel so far? What are you wanting from the channel? Are you struggling sleeping? Are you having difficulty getting up in the morning? Are you really needing to kickstart your creativity? Whatever you are needing, this is a time for me to connect with you, see how I can be of service, and edit the channel to fit your needs. Hello, my name is Mariah. I am the creator of Mint Mind, and it's a hub to bring you back to yourself. It is just a place that has free meditations, hypnosis, bedtime stories to support you in whatever you need. And I am here to support you as well. Hop into the chat, say hello. And I love getting your comments on my posts. I love getting your messages on my shorts. And I'm happy that my meditations have been of benefit to the vast majority of you. So thank you. So welcome. I welcome you here. I'm so happy to have you here. I already got some friends hopping in the chat saying good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about kickstarting your creativity. Before we begin, I really just want to start with a quick breathing exercise. And this is going to kind of wash away the day, wash away things that you've been carrying, and center yourself a little bit, ground yourself into our talk today. So we're going to take a deep breath in, opening up our lungs, and also opening up our energy to receiving whatever we need to receive today. And on the exhale, tracing your exhales from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. And really ground yourself here. Another deep breath in, filling your lungs completely, opening up yourself to this experience. Knowing that you're going to receive all you need to receive today. And on the exhale, tracing your exhale from the crown of your head all the way down to the soles of your feet. Excellent work. Another one on your own time. Last one on your own time. Take your time with it. In fact, see how much time you can take. All right. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Give me 1 second. Making sure maintenance wasn't coming in. Okay, so starting off, kickstarting the session today about kickstarting your creativity. Get a sense of where you are creatively. Where are you creatively? What has been your relationship with creativity? Is this something that you only did when you were a kid? Something that you're able to thread in? Something that you do for a living? What's your relationship with creativity? And for this talk, there's a couple of things that we need to accept. I won't be debating these topics just because it will take time, and that's not what this talk is about. This talk is about kickstarting creativity. In order to fully get the full benefits of it, we need to accept that we are all creative beings. Point blank. That's the foundation here. Every single one of us, regardless if you don't feel creative, regardless if you don't do art, regardless of whatever your job is, how you spend your day, and regardless of how long your creativity has been suppressed, if it has been suppressed. Leaning into the acceptance that we are all creative beings. Point blank, first and foremost, baseline. And maybe the next question is, can you accept that you are at your foundation a creative being? regardless of what the world's told you or sometimes what you've told yourself? Can you accept that you are a creative being? I've got some comments in the chat. I go in and out of it with my art as it is my outlet, but also what I maybe want to move further into, taking a break from chefing. Yeah. And as we progress, you'll notice that even if you feel your creativity is fully suppressed, you are expressing it throughout the day. Some of those may not look the way that art or creativity shows up in media, but it's still creativity being expressed. Creativity needs to be expressed, and we'll go into reasons why. So, can you accept at your foundation that you are a creative being? And if that's no, then that's no. Getting into unconventional expressions of creativity, coming up with unique business solutions, takes creativity. Building bridges between broken relationships. Even the act of dreaming while you fall asleep takes creativity. Cooking, we talked about chefing. Mixing foods together, I would even say that's chemistry as well. Chemistry is creativity. Decorating your home for the holidays. I know the holidays are coming up. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, that's part of cooking as well. Crafting games. Also, for all my manifestation people out there, manifesting, really imagining anything is going to take creativity. If you've got young little kids, you're using your imagination daily, probably. Even coming up with bedtime stories at nighttime. All of these things take creativity. Storytelling is something that has been rooted in our culture and other cultures since the dawn of time, since before writing. It was the passing of stories. So take a moment to reflect on your life. How are you already using creativity? And this is a great way to just kind of kickstart the conversation today, especially with my hypnosis clients. If they haven't experienced hypnosis before, that's a conversation that I love to have with them. In fact, you're already a professional because you go into hypnosis multiple times a day, at least twice every day, you're in hypnosis. It's a brainwave state of theta. So right before you go to sleep, every night you enter the state of hypnosis and right before you wake up. And on top of that, you're going through different levels of brain waves throughout the day. So highway hypnosis is a thing. Even when you're watching commercials, there's a slight state of hypnosis. So you're already a professional. You thought this was your first time. And same with creativity. You think it's suppressed, but you're already using it daily. And the levels of creativity that we have might not match with the levels that we're using. And we know that creativity has to be expressed, right? We'll go into that a little bit. But how can we turn up the dial on that? So this will take a little bit of self-awareness, and I'm going to kind of bring it into your awareness so you can start asking these questions. But when your creativity is suppressed, when it's not able to be expressed, when there's not time, when there's not space for it, what happens? Maybe you have some telltale signs. For example, My telltale sign when I am feeling overwhelmed is that I'm irritable, extremely irritable. So I know that if I'm irritable, then I'm feeling like I'm rushed. I'm feeling like there's too much on my plate. What is your telltale signs for your creativity not being expressed? Maybe it's a numbness. Maybe it's not really feeling all that excited about life. Maybe it's feeling stuck in a routine. But what is it for you? Take a moment to look back on your life when you've been suppressing your creativity and what was happening around that time. For a lot of us, it's problems. For a lot of us, it is problems. If you're not expressing creativity, you will start to see problems in your life. And it's not just I'm manifesting problems because I'm suppressing my creativity. It is the irritability. It is, I will create problems, right? And this might just have this might be creativity expressing itself in ways that aren't really constructive, right? Because it needs to express. So maybe creating a lot of problems will express creativity so you can solve them all. How can I creatively solve all these problems? But that is a telltale sign. You'll start to see problems in your life. You'll start to hone in on them. You'll start to get a sense of irritability within you. Maybe you take a different point on the spectrum and you feel the numbness. You feel like things are bland. Creativity is a great way to move energy that has been stagnant. And that stagnant energy sitting for a long time can lead to depression, can start to feel the weight of depression. How can we move this energy? How can we use creativity for it? So let's go into the medicine of this, right? Quote unquote. Suppressing your creativity. What is the medicine of this? I think first and foremost, releasing resistances towards accepting that you are a creative. What are those resistances? Maybe you take a pen and pad out and you make a list of them. I'm worried about being cringe. I'm worried about what my family would think. I'm worried that I'll be neglecting certain tasks and won't really be responsible. I'm worried that I won't make money, whatever it may be. What are these resistances? What are your resistances towards accepting that you are creative? And also getting a sense of what are you feeling called to generally? What is your art? It might just be writing. It might be chefing. It might be gardening. There is art and creativity in everything with the right intention, right? And if it's starting a new hobby or a new way of creativity expressing itself for you, having the courage to be bad at it. This is something not a lot of us have. The courage to be bad at something, the courage to kickstart something and be floundering and other people are watching us. But how can we be comfortable being bad at something? Sometimes we have to make trash art. Especially when it comes to writing, a lot of authors will say, your first book is going to be crap. But the only way you can get over that hump is to actually go through it, to write it. Write it, put it aside, and then write something better. With oil painters or really any kind of fine artist, you'll get the sketchbook out. And your sketchbooks are going to look totally different than the actual piece. Having the courage to make that art. And part of that is trusting the process. Can we trust our art? It's very much a relationship in this way. Can we trust the process with our art? When we are doing something, it's not either tasting good, looking good, if you're making clothes, feeling good, whatever it may be for you, if it's just not good, continuing to put time and energy into it. Knowing when to walk away, start something fresh. These are elements of discernment that you learn while you're in it. How can you learn to swim if you're not swimming? You've got to get in the water. You've got to flounder a little bit. There are things that will assist you, much like life rafts, and that's a creative community. Do you have other creatives that you're connected with that will inspire you, hold you accountable? How can we start to build a creative community? Is our social media just one thing, whatever that one thing may be? And is our social media causing us to compare ourselves to them? Or is our social media people who inspire us? People starting new hobbies, doing things that we like to do or want to get into. Can we watch them and get a sense of inspiration from them? How can we curate what we are already absorbing? How can we cure it for the betterment of ourselves? At the end of the day, it's not just entertainment. We are growing, evolving beings. Got a commenter in here, friend saying, love this. Thank you. I'm happy you're getting benefit. We're halfway through and I'm going to pick up the pace just a little bit. So can we trust our art? Can we trust the process? Can we create a little safety net around us of people who are also doing that? Can we be influenced by the people who are actually living the lives that we want to live? And how can we curate the social media that we're already absorbing to propel us in the right direction? All right, so trust is a big thing. And remember, we're talking about a relationship here with creativity. Can we trust our art? Can we trust our creative juices when it's not looking great? The next one is climbing the cringe mountain. This is another part that you just have to accept. I was actually thinking about this on my walk this morning with my dog. We're going to be cringe. We're going to be cringe. And in fact, you could look at everything in your life and probably get a sense of cringe at some point. The more you think about it through the lens of cringe, everything can be cringe. But also everything can be inspiring. But there are going to be moments where you look at past art or past versions of yourself and you're just going to be like, yikes. And that comes with, you've got to have a level of acceptance for that. That takes practice. That definitely takes practice. So climbing the cringe mountain. Why is it cringe? Vulnerability. How can we be creative artists if we are not vulnerable? The whole part of creating something, the whole part of art is that you're showing externally what's within. Vulnerability. How can we be comfortable in the uncomfortable? And this is also a medicine and a benefit of art and expressing your creativity. Authenticity. Being your authentic self. You need to be your authentic self to create art that feels resonant for you, where you're going to be like, I don't like that. Everybody else might like it, but it's probably not something I'm proud of. And also, the more creative you are, the easier it is to be authentic. Part of that is not being afraid to make mistakes. With fine artists, I studied art in high school and parts of college, and I used to have an art business. I'm an oil painter after a 4-year break of not doing that. And that's why I talk a lot about fine artists, is because it is something that's so near and dear to my life. Totally missed my train of thought because I got so deep in the art process. What was I talking about? Being your authentic self. Part of that is making mistakes. And the cool thing about art is some of the best things have come from a mistake. And a lot of our inventions, even to this day, has come from a mistake. I think even potato chips were a mistake. And that's part of the experimenting process that is inevitable when it comes to art. So it's important to be your authentic self in order to create art that you like, that feels resonant for you. And then it's a benefit as well. The more art you create, the easier it is to be authentic, because you know that you are so unique. Your mistakes are so unique. There's nobody else out in the world, in the ethers, that look like you've had your exact history, think the way that you do. No one can express themselves the way that you do. There's no one out there like you. That's why art is so important. And the more art you make, the more you start to ask your question, what legacy do I want to live? Or what legacy do I want to leave? Or what do I want to say through this? What do I want people to feel about me and my art? Those are all questions of authenticity. Also, medicine is artist dates. This is a great kind of takeaway from the book, The Artist's Way. I've actually got it here by Julia Cameron. If you haven't read this is a great book. When I was on my 4-year break with fine art, with oil painting, it was a fantastic book for me to read. Highly recommend it. But she talks about artist dates. You set aside time with just you and your inner artist. And you think about it like a relationship, much like creativity. What would I like to do? How would I like to take the inner artist within me, the inner creative, whatever, out to a date? What would that look like? And it's different for everyone. But how can that little inner artist be expressed? And how can I make sure I'm nurturing that relationship? And part of that is also filling up your cup artistically. Now, filling up your cup artistically, this is another thing that Julia Cameron talks about, is doing something that's not your typical. So let's say I'm an oil painter. I'm not going to be filling up my cup by painting. That's something that I'm doing to express. How can I fill up the reserve? And for me, that's going to a library. That's going to a talk that's inspiring for me. That's going to a gardening event or getting out in nature. How am I filling up the reservoir of creativity that I express? How are we replenishing the river, so to speak? That might be different for you. What would it look like to replenish? Also, lastly, I've got meditations on creativity and the solar plexus. And this can be really powerful, especially if you have a lot of layers that are suppressing your creativity and you're like, I don't really know why I'm creative, but I have writer's block or whatever it may be. Taking time to peel off those layers, meditation can be really useful for. I have a meditation on Mint Mind that's called Creativity and Confidence. So creativity and confidence, I believe it's a walking meditation too. So it's not just, sitting down and doing your art, but it's actually getting out in nature. So creativity and confidence can be beneficial for you. I also have magnetic morning, which is breath work. Breath work is really good to trudge up things and to purge things. So that's a solar plexus meditation. And we use dragon's breath, different kinds of breathing techniques. One of them is dragon's breath. But your solar plexus is where creativity resides. So this is a great meditation if you're interested. And I'm going to leave you here with some, also, last recommendation is the book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Really good. She also has like morning pages, all different kinds of really good content in this book that I didn't mention. I'm going to leave you here with some reflection questions. How can we get creative with mundane routine things? Because a lot of our lives, maybe right now, might be mundane routine things. How can we start to move the energy? How can we get creative? Number 2, how can I entice my creative nature? What kind of things can we leave out to entice our creative natures, right? What things can we replace our phone with? Maybe places where we're sitting down for long periods of time, instead of our phone, we can have a book, we can have some paint, we can have pen and pad if we like to write, we can have some recipe books if you're into chefing. How can we entice our creative nature? Maybe that's taking longer breaks. Maybe it's just getting some more sleep. It can be very simple. And it's not necessarily just about adding things to entice our creative nature, but what can we remove? What resistances can we remove? What blocks can we remove? Maybe there are conversations that we need to have with our boss. And then lastly, I've got, if you can't get out of it, get into it. And I'm trying to have as much practical tips for you guys, because I know that we are working beings, working individuals, trying to live in a creative experience in a world that might not be as encouraging to be creative. But this is a great mantra. If I can't get out of it, I'm going to get into it. And I'll give you the example, very simple, with cleaning. So let's say you've got to clean the house. You can't get out of it. You are having people over and it needs to be cleaned. How can we get into the experience? And this is the part that takes a little creativity. In order to get into the experience, maybe I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes and I'm going to make the house as messy as I possibly can. I'm going to get dirt in the house. I'm going to roll around outside and come in the house with dirt. Maybe I'm going to pour soap on the floor, right? And then you're going to look at this mess and say, okay, now it's time for me to really clean. And just because you were able to move the energy rather than forcing yourself to clean, giving yourself a reason to clean, that the house is so messy. And in fact, I had so much fun making this mess that now I feel like, all right, I'm going to clean. I'm going to get this done. If you can't get out of it, get into it. So to kind of close up or summarize this talk today, because I do have to jump out, we started with accepting the following, that we are creative beings, every single one of us. No matter what we do for our job, no matter what the world's told us, or what we've told ourselves. We've talked about the different unconventional expressions of creativity, right? Dreaming when we fall asleep, coming up with business solutions, building bridges within broken relationships. We also talked about what happens when we suppress our creativity, how we start to see problems in our life or make problems. And we talked about the medicine for that, which is releasing resistances towards accepting that you're creative, having the courage to make bad art, to be cringe, having trust within our art and being able to trust the process, the importance of authenticity, artist states, filling up your cup, and meditations on creativity in the solar plexus, creating a little community for yourself. So that's all I've got for you guys today. If you really enjoyed this, take a look at some of my meditations. Like I said, I've got a meditation on creativity and confidence and magnetic morning. And those are going to be fantastic for you on your journey here. I'm sending so much love. I have a lot of messages in here. And thank you so much for joining, for commenting, for being part of my community. I'm sending lots of love you guys' way. And if there's anything that you're needing from the channel, just shoot me a comment, really anywhere. I'll be able to find it. All right. Much love. Bye.